So this story was told to me when I was at my mum's sheltered accommodation one day, and we were going upstairs in a lift, and talk had been of the Second World War, as it very often was. And the very upright, 6 foot tall gentleman standing opposite me, elderly gentleman, said, I bet I could tell you a story about the war that would make your hair stand on end. And I thought, yes, I want to hear that story. So as soon as the lift stopped, I dragged him out into the corridor and said, okay, tell me. And what he told me was that he had been a prisoner of war of the Nazis. And one night, two escaped prisoners were brought back into the camp. When the Nazi guards had gone away, one of the returned prisoners called for silence and said, I've got something to tell you all, to tell everybody in the bunkhouse. This other escaped prisoner is not a British soldier. He's my Czech wife. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. And I thought, this is a good story. Sydney Reed went on to tell me what happened then, that men were banging their tin cups on the table and shouting, there's a woman in the camp, there's a woman in the camp. And the person who was in charge of the bunkhouse called for silence and took them all to task and told them that they were to look after this person who'd been put into their care. And the only way that they could hide her and keep her safe was to keep her safe in plain sight by hiding her as a British soldier, by disguising her as a British soldier. Because if she had been discovered by the Nazis, because she wasn't a combatant, she would have been shot as a spy. Sydney then went on to tell me that for the last 6 months of the war, she remained disguised as a British soldier and was protected by all the men around her. And he told it to me as a story about how great they all were to look after her, him being one of them. And all the time I was thinking, oh my God, what on earth was it like for her? What was it like for her? She must have been young. She spoke no English or very little English and was surrounded by men. Most of all, had to be careful not to emit a single sound because she would have instantly identified herself as a woman. What on earth would that be like? I can't keep quiet for 5 minutes. I can't imagine what that would be like. So I knew that I had the basis of a really extraordinary, once in a lifetime story in my hands.